Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Bahasham, Brakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. And peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Matthew chapter 24, verse 3. And the header reads, Signs of Hamashiach's return. And Hamashiach is, of course, Yahushai Hamashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ. And Yahushai doesn't look like a leprous Edomite with brown stringy hair. As pursuant to Revelation chapter 1, he has the appearance of a dark-skinned Negro with a white woolly beard and afro. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And while Yahushai was talking to his disciples in the past, as pursuant to Romans chapter 15, everything written aforetime was written for our learning. Yahushai is really speaking to his disciples today, who are living in the times of his second coming and of the end of the world, or the age of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites, or the so-called white people. And when we jump down to verse 7, it says some of the signs to look for to know that we're living in these times. And if you have a spiritual eyesight, you can clearly see that these end time signs are either in the process of taking place or taking place as we speak. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And in this video, I'll be dealing with the earthquakes in diverse places, because earthquakes are happening damn near daily all across the planet in varying degrees of intensity. And as it says in verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. The earthquakes, as well as these other end time signs, are only going to intensify and get worse as we get closer and closer to Yahushai making his second coming. But the first article I'll be dealing with is on endoftheamericandream.com, and the title reads, Why is so much seismic activity suddenly rocking our planet? Because we're living in the last seconds of these last days. Should we be alarmed by all the seismic activity that is suddenly happening all over the globe? I don't know if you have noticed, but major earthquakes and earthquake swarms have been shaking key areas in diverse places of our planet in recent weeks. On Monday, it was Japan's turn. It was being reported that a magnitude 6.5 earthquake had been detected southeast of Honshu, Japan, and that immediately got my attention. Whenever a significant earthquake hits Japan, I am always reminded of the looming threat of Mount Fuji. One of these days, Mount Fuji is going to come roaring back to life, and Tokyo will be absolutely devastated. Let us hope that such a cataclysm can be put off for as long as possible. And remember, we're living in the beginning of sorrows. It's only going to get worse from here on out. Prior to the earthquake near Honshu, a magnitude 7.5 quake rattled northern Peru on Sunday. A magnitude 7.5 earthquake rocked northern Peru on Sunday, collapsing a 16th century Catholic church tower. In good riddance. Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai is bringing down these false religions out here, one of the chief ones being Roman Catholicism. Although no deaths or serious injuries were immediately reported. The good news is that the quake happened in a sparsely populated region, but it came right after a magnitude 5.1 earthquake had struck the outskirts of Lima. The quake struck hours after a magnitude 5.1 temblor, with the epicenter in the outskirts of Lima rattled the region. Hernando Tavera, head of the Geophysical Institute of Peru, said at least 4 aftershocks took place after the latter quake, and he warned residents to prepare for more aftershocks. The coast of Peru sits directly along the Ring of Fire, just like the west coast of the United States does, and earlier this month, a very alarming earthquake swarm in Northern California received quite a bit of attention. A swarm of earthquakes rambled under the San Ramon Danville area Wednesday, measuring as high as 3.9 in magnitude, giving local residents a subtle reminder of the seismic activity deep under the region. The 3.9 magnitude quake struck at 11:43 a.m., followed by an aftershock measuring 2.6 magnitude at 11:46 a.m., according to the U.S. Geological Survey. A third aftershock with 3.0 magnitude struck at 11:58 a.m. More than a dozen smaller quakes have followed over the last several hours. Could it be possible that the Ring of Fire is moving into a period of increased activity, the beginning of sorrows? We know that it is just a matter of time before California is hit by the big one, and so we will want to closely watch the West Coast in the months ahead. Meanwhile, the East Coast is being shaken as well. On Saturday, North Carolina was hit by the sixth significant earthquake in less than a week. Another small earthquake shook North Carolina near Winston-Salem early on Saturday, November 27th, geologists said. The 1.9 magnitude quake hit at about 7:55 a.m., according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Its epicenter was located about 3 miles southwest of Winston-Salem, which is in the Forsyth County and about 100 miles west of Raleigh. The middle of the country has been seeing unusual earthquakes too. On November 17th, the New Madrid fault zone was hit by multiple earthquakes, including a magnitude 4.0 quake that really shook a lot of people up. I have been writing about the danger posed by the New Madrid fault zone for a very long time, and scientists assure us that at some point our luck will run out. Speaking of potential threats, there is an area west of Yellowstone that has been shaken by more than 4,300 significant earthquakes since early 2020. Since the initial large earthquake in 2020, known as a main shock, there have been over 4,300 aftershocks in the same area, according to the USGS. This uptick in seismic activity has alarmed some people. A common question seen after many earthquakes in the western U.S. is, will this earthquake trigger an eruption at Yellowstone? Or is this seismicity related to Yellowstone? USGS wrote in today's update. However, they also provide a simple answer: no. Hopefully, the USGS is correct. But hey, this data that the USGS has, or any other form of information or control these heathens may have, is futile. At the end of the day, it's all in the hands and through the will of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And Abaratazai, Yellowstone, the San Andreas Fault, and Mount Fuji all go and take a lot of you people out, because a lot of you people on this planet are wicked. You're living in what Elder Yashawamba, the Dallas camp, likes to say, in flood-like behavior. You people deserve all this judgment that's coming your way. That's it with this article. Now I'm going to go to my second article, also on endoftheamericandream.com, titled, "With just weeks to go until 2022, the Ring of Fire is suddenly roaring to life. There shall be earthquakes in diverse places." Why are so many earthquake swarms suddenly happening all along the Ring of Fire? For those that don't know, the Ring of Fire is a series of fault zones that run roughly along the perimeter of the Pacific Ocean. 75% of the Earth's active volcanoes are located within the Ring of Fire, and it accounts for more than 80% of all global earthquakes. So the fact that the Ring of Fire is starting to become so active should definitely trouble us all. As I write, we are less than 3 weeks away from 2022. And as I have expressed on numerous occasions, I have such a bad feeling about 2022. And Abaratazah, 2022 is the year for all hell to really break loose and the year of our deliverance. But we know that our salvation is nearer than when we believed. All the end time signs Yahushua told us to look for in Matthew chapter 24 are again either in the process of taking place or taking place as we speak. So many pieces of the puzzle are starting to come together, and that includes an alarming rise in seismic activity. Let me start by discussing what just happened in Oregon. Starting last Tuesday and continuing through Wednesday, we witnessed a very strange swarm of earthquakes along the Blanco Fault Zone. Nearly 250 miles west of Newport, Oregon, a place called the Blanco Fracture Zone has produced more than 60 earthquakes in 36 hours. About 20 of them, we just had another one just now, about 21 of them are over magnitude 4.7, said Chris Goldfinger of Oregon State University. The biggest quake in that swarm was a magnitude 5.8, and it had many wondering whether the nearby Cascadia subduction zone could be affected. Needless to say, a major quake along the Cascadia subduction zone would be a really big deal because it could potentially send a giant tsunami slamming into the west coast, and Abaratazah that takes place. Meanwhile, the Oregon Office of Emergency has warned if a powerful 9.0 plus magnitude earthquake originates from the Cascadia subduction zone, it could unleash a tsunami of up to 100 feet in height that will impact the coastal area. They take California and Hollywood with it. San Francisco, you can't forget them. The state agency adds, currently, scientists are predicting that there's about a 37% chance that a megathrust earthquake of 7.1 plus magnitude in this fault zone will occur in the next 50 years. And Abaratazah, the brothers that preach in California, if this situation takes place, are protected by Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai from it. As for the rest of you people, you can get that work. Unfortunately, the odds of such an event happening are much greater than 37%. And one prominent scientist has just discovered that a major quake along the Cascadia subduction zone could also potentially trigger a quake along the San Andreas Fault. The two faults meet in an area known as the Mendocino Triple Junction. Now, Goldfinger has found evidence that a quake on one could trigger a quake on the other, in essence making for one giant seismic event that would span the entire west coast of the U.S. The new results stem from the analysis of sediment cores from the Mendocino Triple Junction area. Those cores pulled from canyons on the ocean floor show evidence of earthquakes in the form of underwater landslides. Using carbon dating, Goldfinger found that nearly a dozen earthquakes occurred throughout history on both faults at the same time. Let us hope that something like that doesn't happen anytime soon. Getting back to current events, another disturbing swarm of earthquakes just hit the Rat Islands along the southern coast of Alaska. The Rat Islands are part of the Aleutian Islands, a chain of volcanic islands that results from the subduction of the Pacific Plate beneath the North American Plate. This plate boundary, the Alaska Aleutian megathrust, has been the location of many megathrust earthquakes. The latest occurred on February 4th, 1965. Today, more than 15 earthquakes have rattled the same area. Of course, the entire southern coast of Alaska is included in the Ring of Fire, and at this point, the seismic activity up north has become so frequent that it never seems to stop. Meanwhile, an even more alarming swarm of earthquakes just shook Japan. The following comes from our colleagues over at Zero Hedge. Quakes first hit Mount Fuji, and what did the author of this website say in the previous article? That there were earthquakes around Honshu, and he was worried that it would trigger Mount Fuji going off. The seismic activity continued days later. On December 7th, more than 200 quakes were reported across the Tokara Islands. The largest was a 4.8 magnitude. One poster on the Yahoo Japan news website said, "Heard a report that the big one will happen this month, so I'm being cautious." The meteorological agency doesn't know what is causing the quake storm, but we've shown before that quake swarming near a volcano has preceded an eruption. How many years have I been warning about Mount Fuji? The fact that earthquakes are now shaking the volcano is a very troubling sign. One of these days, Mount Fuji is going to blow, and when that happens, you will not want to be anywhere around. Speaking of eruptions, volcanoes in Ecuador, Peru, Guatemala, Chile, and Indonesia all sent ash high into the sky over the weekend. Needless to say, all those mountains sit along the Ring of Fire. So with this article, as you can see, earthquakes are happening in diverse places. Now let's get back into some precepts. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 9 in the Apocrypha. I'm going to start at verse 1. He answered me then and said, "Measure thou the time diligently in itself," which is exactly what the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, are doing. By reading the scriptures and watching the news, and then filtering the news through the scriptures to go out onto the highways and byways to preach this word, as well as put up video epistles like this, to not only tell the elect of the nation of Israel, the 144,000 and the rest of the righteous 1/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these heathen nations, of the terrible times to come, and what to do to stay in the good graces of your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, to be safe from them, but to also tell 2/3 of the nation of Israel who were hard-headed and refused to return back to their power, and you heathen nations, chiefly you Edomites, of the terrible times to come of Jacob's trouble and the judgment you're going to receive for your wickedness. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, visit you people and judge you for all the wickedness you've been committing on it. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes in diverse places, which you just read about, and uproars of the people in the world, which are happening all across the planet, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, and we're in the beginning of sorrows right now. And like I said, it's only going to intensify and get worse as we get closer and closer to the end with Yahweh Shai HaMashiach's second coming. And before I close it out, I'm going to go into a little bit of the uproars of the people in the world. There's so much going on that if I played all the clips I wanted to play, this video would be much longer. But I'm going to just go to RT's main channel on YouTube and just read a few of the headlines. Sudanese protest over PM Hadmock's military deal. Clashes erupt at demonstration against situation restrictions in Germany. Bojo's new pandemic restrictions. Situation passport plan makes Santa angry. Let's see. Czechs rally en masse against mandatory situation. Juice shots. Hundreds rally against administration of El Salvador President Nayib Bukele. Protesters clash with police in Graz. Football fans scuffle with police in Paris. Jerusalem's right-wing demonstration met with water cannons, brutal arrests made. Vienna flooded with protesters over situation restrictions. Yellow vests hit Paris streets yet again. Thousands protest over Argentina's negotiations with IMF. Furious Argentinians clash with police following the death of a 16-year-old shot by an officer. No more, hundreds denounced U.S. media coverage on Horn of Africa. Protesters take down wall during Baghdad rally. There you go. Earthquakes in diverse places and uproars of the people all across the world. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. As you can clearly see, we're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.